as old as time,
true as it can be.
barely even friends. There's somebody else, unexpectedly, certain as a sun,
Rising in the east,
careless of the sky, song is on the sky. Beauty and the Beast.
What is up, everybody? It's Kanan,
It's Jessie.
and we are the Geeky Saying Couple, and welcome to the finale of RWBY Fairytale Theories. And if you've not seen our others, we've got about 9 other episodes, but this is the big finale, Bumbleby and Beauty and the Beast. We've always planned to do this one last for Season 1. Fairytale Theories will come back when Volume 9 is airing. So... Oh, props to Jess for that great intro. It was my idea, though. I'm just messing with you. As you can see, I'm at least wearing my Bumblebee jacket. I can tell I've put on weight since the last time I wore this, so now I really do look like a big fat bruised banana. That's a little in joke on the channel if for a little bit more of the older subscribers. Okay, so let's get down to business. Bumblebee and Beauty and the Beast. Well, this is something like... I'm sure the fandom was talking about it before Volume 6, though like I said, before Volume 6, both of us really weren't that much active online in the fandom. We didn't really start interacting with the RWBY fandom online until after, like during and after Volume 6. And that's really where the Beauty and the Beast stuff really got talked about, because it was after their fight with Adam. And with Beauty and the Beast being my favorite fairy tale, and I do know is it your favorite as well, or is it at least one of the top ones?
It is the top
Okay,
one.
I didn't want to
There's
assume.
other ones, but that one is the top one.
I don't want to assume. Now, of course, there's many different versions, I think the most famous one is the Disney version, which I think it's even more well-known and popular than... I think it's more well-known and popular than the original tale. But the thing is... Rooster Teeth seems to like RWBY at least seems to really take different versions of the fairy tales and combines them, or at least uses some things about it. And when it comes to Blake and Yang and Adam, we have to talk about Adam if we're going to talk about this subject. Like, really, if you think about their story, these 3 characters, and whether people want Yang to be involved in it or not, she is. It's wild. Like, if you really sit down and think about it, their story, when it comes to Blake and Yang and Adam, is Beauty and the Beast. Now, as far as their story after Adam, we still don't 100% know what it could be based off of. It could be based off the Faunus tale that Callie told in the comics. Who knows? We don't really know yet on that. So, to start off, I've got some pictures. Like, I'm not going to put them on screen because I still, to this day, do not know who made these. And I would love... So, I don't want to show them because I don't want to show something and not be able to give credit. I've had these since Volume 6, and I've still, to this day, not been able to find out who made these. But pretty much, someone took pictures from throughout Volumes 1 through 6 for Blake and Yang, and moments from Beauty and the Beast to show that, yes, there is a parallel there. So I'm going to go through each picture. You've got one where it's Belle behind the tree when her and the bee, they were throwing snowballs at each other, right?
Yeah. It was during There's Something There That Wasn't There Before song.
And it's like pretty much the first time Belle looks at Beast in kind of a romantic way. Like, you can tell she is falling for him. And the picture to go with that is when Blake and Yang split up at the radio tower in Volume 6. And, it kind of fits because the area is kind of snowy and all that. Like, there's snow in the trees and there's snow on the ground and all that. And, it's that little soft look that Blake gives Yang before she runs off. And then, of course, the ballroom scene of the Beast and Belle dancing. Then, of course, Blake and Yang dancing together. Then you have the really big moment of, the Beast saying to Belle, "You came back," and they use the reunion at the end of Volume 5 for that. Blake and Yang holding hands, Belle and Beast holding hands, which is during the fight with Gaston. The Beast caressing Belle's face. Yang did the same thing after the fight with Adam. So that's a little tease of the similarities that people drew between them. So if we look at RWBY from the very beginning, it all starts with Red Like Roses. We have Black the Beast descends from shadows, Yellow Beauty burns gold. Now, I remember, I think Jess looked at me like I was crazy when I figured this out, but if you look at the lines of that song for RWBY and Weiss, each part for them is only about that specific character and their specific story going forward. With RWBY, Red Like Roses, brings me to the place you rest, is talking about summer. With Weiss, it's, it talks about, the royal test, her dealing with her family lineage and all that. And I noticed that the lyrics for RWBY and Weiss, they're like full sentences. They're separate lines. They're separate lines. And there's a couple, like if you're like me and you listen to music and just pick out everything you can, there's a couple of seconds of separation between RWBY's part and Weiss's. They're not, they're separated. Blake and Yang's, however, are shorter, and they actually make one full sentence that combines them. Black the Beast descends from shadows. Then there's not even a second delay. Yellow Beauty burns gold. They fit together. So that's a little bit of where we really started with this. And really, a lot of people seem to get fixated on who the characters are based off of. And some of them don't realize that the characters also relate to other characters they're not based off of. Like in our RWBY and the Wizard of Oz, RWBY's Dorothy. Blake can be seen as the Cowardly Lion. Weiss can be seen as the Tin Man. Yang can be seen as the Scarecrow, just like with Ozpin's group is the Wizard of Oz. So characters have more than one inspiration, and they're not tied to exactly who they are based off of. Because let's face it, I mean, you could kind of say maybe the Hound was the big bad wolf for RWBY, but the thing is, the Hound wasn't after RWBY. We've still not had a really Snow White-like story for Weiss or anything like that.
The closest thing in that story is Klein.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because he's pretty much the Seven Dwarves.
I think that's... I mean, I don't know if we'll get much more of that, but, I mean, that's where that would fit in with that story anyway.
With Yang, the only thing for Goldilocks we've gotten for Yang is she fought 3 Ursas at the beginning during the initiation of Volume 1, and then of course in Volume 5 the whole Just Right thing, and that's really all they've done with Goldilocks, really.
They had to at least throw them in there somewhere, and
yeah.
I guess that was the nods to that, because if you think about it, that's just kind of where they started, where we are slowly unraveling and learning what different roles and characters they're inspired from. So that's where it started, and now as we evolve through each volume, we're seeing other connections to multiple.
Yeah. So let's talk about the 3 characters involved first and who they more than likely represent in the story of Beauty and the Beast. With Blake, there's no denying it that she is both Belle and the Beast. And that's mostly because with Belle, it's the whole loving books, because didn't Belle feel like Belle felt like she wasn't living the life she was happy with
She
in a
was
way.
like trapped, and she trying to think of the words that was just escaped my mind. Like she was trapped and couldn't. God,
Well, let's just go with that. She felt trapped. Like,
I can't think of the words.
and look at Blake. She has always felt like she's trapped under the shadow of Adam. And she's the beast, you know, a lot of people point out, you know, because of her faunus heritage. But think about the beast. Like, she doesn't have the beastly temper that the beast has, but she, you know, I don't know if it's ever really, like, she had accepted that she may live the rest of her life alone, because she talked about that with Sun. You know, do you think I like being alone? You know, but she had put herself in that situation. That's what she accepted for herself, which is what the beast did.
Yeah, if you really look at what the beast did, that's pretty much what he was doing. He knew he at that some point he was just accepting what was going to probably happen.
Mm-hmm.
And what I was thinking also with Belle was it fits with some of the lyrics of the song in both versions of the movies, is that she knows that there, like the Belle part of, she knows there's more. She's trapped. She knows there's more to the life that she could have.
With Yang, she's the same way. She's both Belle and the Beast. With Belle, you know, everyone says that Yang is the beauty of the group, even though all girls are lovely in their own ways, but, you know, yellow beauty, that's what she has been known as. She has the standout looks of the group.
And she doesn't exactly look at herself that way either, because of how she is, which, if in the story beginning with Belle,
the only close thing is her protectiveness of her hair.
Yes.
Yeah.
But her, if like through the stories of, you know, when you see Belle, like that, the first song, she just goes about her day and she doesn't really realize everyone's talking about her that loves how beautiful she is.
And another thing that Yang has in common with Belle is Belle wanted adventure. She wanted to see she wanted to see the world. Yang's the same way. I'm a thrill seeker. I want to go out in the world and get into as many adventures as I can. But she's definitely also the beast in that she has the beastly temper. That's what her semblance is based off of. And also, she's lived a kind of lonely life too. Yes, she had her sister, she had her uncle, she had her dad, but she gave up her childhood to take care of her sister. And we've seen throughout the show and in the comics that severely affected her. Like she felt like she had to grow up way too soon, and that kind of, you know, like, you know, Yang loves Ruby. There's no question about that. But it's kind of hinted at that she kind of felt like she felt kind of isolated in her situation, and that's further illustrated once we get a little later into the series. Now with Adam, I think Adam is 3 different things, and it depends on who you are relating him to. When it's him and Blake, for Belle, he's Gaston, but he's also the prince who never changed. He's the beast that never changed. Now, for the Blake that is the beast, he's the cursed rose. For Yang, he's really nothing as far as Yang being Belle. But for Beast Yang, he's the cursed rose and Gaston. Now, it's funny because in this very book, Miles talks about Adam, and I don't know if this is the direct quote, but it's pretty much on the lines of, you know, once you delve deeper, you learn he is the cursed rose, he is Gaston, you know.
Which also gives meaning to why his symbol.
Let me see if I can keep talking. I'm going to try and find that.
But it's why, like, it kind of, everyone's like, oh, well, everyone has a symbol. Well, yeah, but his was significant because it was a rose. And just the way it was designed reminded me of some type of cursed rose. So, I mean, it kind of fits once you learn, like, you really think about about all of that and dig into it?
Here it is. Then the further back you go, you start to see Adam as Gaston, as the cursed rose. So yeah, they're from
Pretty much confirmed there.
yeah. Yeah, that he can be seen as Gaston. He can be seen as the cursed rose. Now, going back, starting at volume 1, of course Blake and Yang don't have like the tension and all that Belle and Beast had when they first met. But, watching Volume 1, you had no idea they would be where they are now from their first meeting. You got Blake, who's reading a book like Belle, but having kind of
the
candelabra, yeah. But she's got the standoffish, antisocial attitude of the Beast, where you've got Yang, who is, of course, not scared of Blake, but she's kind of like Belle in that scene because she's at least being, she's like trying to make a conversation, trying to be nice, and then she says the whole, well, this girl's a lost cause.
And the thing is what I like about when you go back and watch stuff like that, when we first saw that, you didn't really think much of it. Like, oh, okay, well, that's interesting. You start making the connections. But when where we are, when you learning all the things with the Beauty and the Beast and all the fairy tales, you go back and you make even more connections. Like, oh, okay, I see it now. But it's kind of like when you watch anything else. The further you get in something, you go back and you see things that connect more to the whole story than you really noticed the first time.
Yeah. And I mean, that's one of the reasons why Adam's weapons are, named after, a flower and all that. It's literally a metaphor for it. So you get later in the series. Now, a lot of people, of course, have criticized RWBY for not showing it more in the early volumes, but 9 times out of 10, before you fall in love with someone, you're typically usually just friends at first. And then, by the events of volume 2, where you had burning the candle, Yang offering Blake a dance, I think it's very realistic that Yang may have fell for Blake first. And then by the events of volume 3, Blake has started to fall in love with Yang. That's why you then have the scene with Adam. Now,
which would also make a little more sense. I mean, Blake could have been, for all we know, because as quiet as she was, she could have been hiding feelings that she didn't want to admit because of Adam.
Yeah.
So she could have been developing feelings for her, but she was not going to let herself fall into that because of what Adam had done.
Yeah.
So, and it makes perfect sense on the way she acts on some, in some points early on.
Well, there's a reason why in volume 3 that Blake was a little skittish toward Yang because of what she supposedly done to Mercury, and the first thing Blake does is compare Yang to Adam, who was not only her former partner but her former romantic interest. So the fact that Blake already kind of holds Yang to that kind of standard is a little bit of a sign there. Plus, Yang just did something that is, to some people, beastly. Attacking someone who had already been beaten and supposedly breaking their leg. So it could be a metaphor for, one of those scenes of the Beast losing his temper and legit scaring Belle, because I think that actually does happen I don't know if it happens in the live action version, but I do think it happens in the cartoon version.
It does in both.
Hold on that. Before anyone complains about us sticking to the Disney version, the Disney version is the most famous version, really, and it really seems like in a lot of ways RWBY is following that version. Plus, I think the Disney version is one of the few ones that didn't step away a whole lot from the original. But the fact,
and the live action actually stuck pretty close to it too.
And I know some people have said that Gaston didn't exist in the original, but like I said, RWBY uses anything from each version. Okay, go ahead.
The other thing with it kind of goes back, with the whole Adam when she, pretty much compares Yang and saying she pretty much wants the truth out of it, to trust her.
Yep.
And because the way she's doing that, it's she's trying to pull herself out from, like, probably in her mind, any PTSD that she might have to prove this is not the same.
Yeah.
But it's still holding her up to that standard, but she's learning because of the Yang, because of all of them, because of Yang, how to try to decipher that and to see the truth through someone else's eyes.
Yeah.
So it's, and Belle does that too. She starts to see it, you know, that the Beast really isn't this horrible person, regardless if he scared her once. Like, and it's the same thing like when he told her to leave. And he got hurt. She was going to run, but she went to him and looked at him and saw him differently. So that's when things started to change. And like I said, you do see it in both the live action. I know there's not a lot of people. There's quite a few people that don't see as highly to the live action, but I absolutely love it. But they do stick pretty close to the same story. It's just you see it a little bit more. It's a little bit easier to relate to, since it's actually live people. But, yeah.
So, then we get to Volume 3 and the confrontation with Adam. I see this whole entire scene as one side of Adam representing, once again, a beast who is not going to change. You know, why'd you leave me? You know, blah, blah, and all that.
To see the Prince and the Beast in that form, I think they captured it very, very well in the live action, because it showed how arrogant and how he just, you know, dismissed that enchantress. Like, yeah, you see it in the original cartoon, but in the live action, you could see his mannerisms and his, like, scoffing it off and all that. You could see it a lot better, and that's. Yeah, Adam acts a lot like that. Like, it's...
And then, of course, like, I kind of see the whole, you know, I'll destroy everything, everything you love, and then seeing Yang and then looking at Blake and saying, starting with her. To me, that's when he kind of morphs into Gaston a little bit. It kind of reminds me of the part where it dawns on him that Belle has feelings for the Beast, and he's just filled with this jealous rage.
And we see a moment like that more so
in Volume 6.
Yes.
Which we'll get to. But the moment he cut Yang's arm off, to me, that is the whole cursed rose moment for Yang. Because let's admit it, between that moment and then finally when Adam's defeated in Volume 6, Yang pretty much has a curse put on her. And then, of course, that results in Blake running and all that. And what happened in Beauty and the Beast? Blake leaves. The Beast goes into a depression because he thinks she's not coming back. He's just going to live the rest of his days as a beast. Now, of course,
die that way.
Yeah, and then of course it's a little bit different in RWBY, but and I know a lot of us wish Blake hadn't run. I think Erin even said if there was one thing she could change about RWBY, it would have been that Blake didn't leave. So that, in her very words, it was so she would have been there when Yang needed her most. I think there's a way RWBY could have made both characters grow if Blake hadn't left, but a lot of times in these kind of stories, the characters do need to be separated so they can grow. That way, by the time they get back together, they've grown as people.
Maybe they could have not have them separated as long.
Well, and so, yeah, Yang's in a depression. She is, at one point, not planning on going back out as a huntress. She's just going to lay in bed and just stay home. But, and of course, her father helps her, which, I mean, if you want to say Ty is if you want to say he's one of the characters from it who helps the Beast and all that, you can say it. And then, of course, Blake goes on her own adventure, and you could say Sun may be a certain character and all that, and then she learns to forgive herself while also forgiving others like Ilya. And by the time the two have reunited, it's pretty much like when Belle comes back to help Beast fight Gaston. The Beast's very first words are, "You came back." And even though Yang doesn't say anything, the look on her face when she sees Blake for the first time since the fall of Beacon, the look on her face screams, "She came back." So then we get to Volume 6, which, boy, it's so funny. Like, when we saw Adam in the window of the train during the intro, I was like, okay, they're going to build more on that. But, like, it's funny, when the way these RWBY volumes start, sometimes you don't expect them to cover an exact plot point by the end of the volume. For some reason, I did not expect Blake and Yang versus Adam at the end of Volume 6. I just didn't.
I did, and, like, he goes, "Oh, well, I just remember, like, all the conversations of no, and the further we watched,
I was like, holy crap.
I'm right.
Well, I mean, it seemed like with them being on, Volume 6 was an on-the-road volume, so it was like, just where are they going to fit it, And, it just turns out, oh, well, Adam stalked them the whole way there, like, he's that obsessed and all that. So we get to, like, the moment we learned, I think it was Chapter 10, that Blake was going to the tower, Yang was going to hang back, I was like, oh no.
Yeah, it started
she's gonna be by herself. Adam's gonna show up, which he did. Now, there are parts of this fight that things switch in and out big time. Like when Blake is fighting Adam alone, you could see it as two things. You can see it as the Beast versus Gaston, or you can see it as the Beast trying to fight back from the curse. Then with Yang coming in, her arriving on Bumblebee is pretty much Belle arriving on horse. And then during the fight, she goes from being Belle to being the Beast again, because there's a lot of similarity. Like, the Beast versus Adam is pretty much Belle and Beast versus Gaston. Like, it is almost a shot-for-shot thing.
All up to the scratches.
Yeah, so I'm going to look at these pictures some more because we got a little bit more, especially when it comes to the fight with Adam. Okay, so yeah, like Belle arriving on horseback, Yang arriving on Bumblebee, except Belle didn't run over Gaston with the horse or throw a horse at him. Yeah, when Adam attacks Yang's prosthetic, there are 3 scratch marks on the prosthetic, and if you look at the scene of the Beast's arm after he fought off the wolves, it's almost like RWBY copied the exact same scratches and pasted them onto her arm. It's the exact same arm, exact same part.
Just with added, like, burn marks.
Yeah. So it's kind of wild. Then they've got a picture of Yang almost like she's very close to falling off the cliff, and it's a picture of Gaston attacking the Beast when the Beast is almost about to fall. The moment where Blake and Adam are fighting on the control tower, and they're kind of they're kind of wrestling with each other. Same thing happens with Beast and Gaston. The Beast gets knocked over and rolls down the roof. Blake gets knocked over and is clinging to the wall of the cliff face. And then, like, when I saw this one, I was like, holy crap, that is right. There's a part in Beauty and the Beast when it's a part of the castle. I'm just going to call it a club. That's kind of what
it was one of the it was one of the things that sits by, like, the gargoyles and stuff, and he broke it off, and he was using it as a weapon. Yeah. And Beast grabs it. Yeah, he goes to attack the Beast, and the Beast grabs it, and the exact shot is Beast catching it, and then the picture of there's no picture there, but it shocked Gaston that he was able to grab it and have that strength to stop it.
And the picture of Yang catching Adam's sword, it's almost the exact same thing.
And Adam was shocked too.
Yeah.
Like when she grabbed onto it like that.
And then they have the part where Adam looks between Blake and Yang and then gets pissed off and attacks Yang. And it's with a picture of Gaston when he realizes that Belle has feelings for the Beast. And then we have Gaston saying to Belle, "I'd think you had feelings for this monster." And they pair it with Adam saying, I'll destroy
with her.
Yeah, starting with her after he said, I'll destroy everything you love. And then we have a scene where Gaston says, did you honestly think she'd want you when she had someone like me? And they pair it with Adam saying, what does she even see in you? And before we get to that part, I'm going to go over some more of these. Belle sitting at the fountain reading a book. That's Blake all together because we got a picture of Blake reading her book in volume 1 when they all four really met. Then we've got one of the songs that Belle is singing, and she says, I want adventure in the great wide somewhere. And of course, Yang says, I want to travel around the world and get wrapped up in as many crazy adventures as I can. Then the next scene is the wardrobe talking to Belle saying, but the master's really not so bad once you get to know him. And the picture going with that is Weiss saying, you're hot-headed, but not ruthless. And then, of course, we have got Gaston falling to his death and Adam falling to his death. The only thing that happened with Adam that didn't happen to Gaston was Gaston didn't get stabbed. But, I mean, if you want to, you could say, the Beast got stabbed by Gaston. So, I don't know. I don't think there's really a way to, you can't say Blake and Yang are Gaston. So, I don't know. Like, I think the reason why RWBY did that though was to really like tell you, yeah, Adam's done, even though that still didn't work. And then of course, that's only relating to him as Gaston. When you look at him as the Cursed Rose, what is the curse? The Beast must find someone and earn their love. And it has to be like, oh, how'd it go again? It's been so long since I've watched Beauty and the Beast. If the Beast can find true love and be loved and be loved in return, the spell will be broken. Well, think about it. As the Cursed Rose, Adam has haunted Blake this whole time, keeping her from having a happy life, keeping her from having what is seen as a normal life in Remnant.
Which also relates back to the whole thing with her questioning Yang after what supposedly she did to Mercury. That's something that's taunting her that's going to cause her to ask questions like that.
Like, Blake couldn't even have a normal life as a huntress without the fear of Adam coming to look for her. And even though Adam has not haunted Yang as long as Blake, he became that after he injured her. Like, she was having nightmares about him, and it was keeping her from leading the life she wanted to have. And if you want to say, he was keeping Blake and Yang apart. And to me, that final fight is symbolism in a way that Adam, as the Cursed Rose, once he falls into the water, that is symbolism of the final petal of the rose falling. And by the time he's now been defeated, that the petal has fallen, Blake and Yang have realized their feelings for each other. They've found that true love. And now the spell is broken and they can move on with their lives, which they're currently doing in volumes 7 and 8. Now, 7 and 8, I don't know if we're really in the whole Beauty and the Beast story anymore. It could be heading in a whole different story. There's like, ever since volume 6, Blake and Yang, they've had their moments, and they've definitely had some, time to shine in volume 7 and 8, but story-wise, they've kind of taken a back seat, but that usually happens. Once one arc finishes, the characters involved take a little bit of a break until they're the main focus again. Now, 7 and 8 did great for their relationship. It built it up even more. Volume 9 may be where Blake and Yang are a focus again. Because Volume 8 did, definitely with Yang, because she was kind of, I guess, the leader of her group. And, I don't know. I don't want to make any wild predictions for Volume 9. Like I've already said, I think they're going to kiss in Volume 9. Because, Blake thinking Yang was dead, I think would be a great motivator. You would think. I mean, if me and Jess hadn't ever kissed yet, even though we're engaged, if I thought something had happened to her, or if she thought something had happened to me, I think that would warrant a first kiss when we saw each other and realized that we were okay. But, I mean, that's how I would write it. That doesn't mean that's how RWBY will write it. If they don't kiss right away in Volume 9, don't freak out.
We've got a whole volume.
Yeah, though they say it's going to be a shorter volume. But I'm hoping that just means episode length. I hope that doesn't mean episode amount. But, so yeah, like, I thought this would be longer. Like, our longest one was Cinder and Cinderella, but we actually had a whole episode of examples for that, where this one, it's kind of picking...
And a lot to dissect, because
Yeah.
we had finally gotten something for Cinder, whereas this whole time we hadn't. So.
Yeah, where this one, it's bit in pieces, you know, taking one moment from one little spot, and, you know, it definitely is a lot of theorizing. Like, I don't think my whole Adam falling into the water symbolizes the last petal falling is true, but I do think it's a good theory.
I mean, yeah.
But at the end of the day, I'm pretty confident to say that, yeah, the story for Blake and Yang and Adam was Beauty and the Beast. And even if you want to say, you know, Yang's not the Beast or Belle because she's based off Goldilocks, that's fine. But in her story with Blake and Adam, she's not just a random insert character. She's got to have a role. And in the role that she fits in that story is Belle and the Beast, along with Blake. And as we said, neither are locked to either role. They can perfectly fit each of the other. I personally like Yang as the Beast just because of her temper and all that. And Blake, like, her love of books is so strong. I always see her as Belle, but like I said, they're both, and they're not locked to it. And like I said, Adam, at the end of the day, I think is the prince/beast who never changed, who lost Belle, but didn't give up. I also think he's Gaston, especially when it comes to Blake and Yang's relationship. And for both of them, he's also the cursed rose. Because let's admit, he was pretty much a curse for a while. Like, oh boy, trying times. So I think that's all we've really got. I'm sure there's little bitty details that I'll probably remember the moment we're done recording, but like, damn it, I should have said that. But, yeah, so, like I said, guys, this is the finale for RWBY Fairytale Theories. There are plenty of characters that we've not covered yet, so we will definitely bring this back once Volume 9 starts airing, and who knows, we may see some really wild shit in Volume 9, so, it looks like it's going to be one of those volumes where we're either going to get a lore dump, or we're just going to see some wild stuff we never thought we would see in RWBY. Like, we're going to see some H.P. Lovecraft stuff or something. Who knows? If Cthulhu comes out of the water, I'm going to lose it. But, ooh, that's what we need. We need a Grimm based off Cthulhu. That would be amazing. Anyway, as always, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell, click that like button, leave us a comment, tell you what you think. It seems like every time we do a Bumblebee video, it does well, so hope to see as much people in the comments as usual. As always, guys, this is Kanan.
This is Jessie.
We love you all very, very much. Stay safe out there. Take care of yourselves, and we will see you in the next one. Bye.
Bye.